Good morning and happy new year to all of you at Faith Culture Kiss Studio for Voice and Acting. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. And I just want to say I'm really proud of everybody who decided to push through. Many of us took a couple weeks off to kind of reset and reformulate and kind of think about how did 2020 affect us and how do we want to move forward in 2021? And so my name is Michelle Marquardt DeVoe. And look, I figured out, opposite. I figured out how to put a thing on my thing and I'm pointing in the wrong direction. So that's funny. And I'm a business strategist and a coach. And I get to work, I'm also a voice teacher. And I get to work with people like you who are voice teachers, SLPs, body workers that work with singers, fitness people that work with singers, social media people that work with singers and voice related people. So business people that all kind of congregate around the voice world. That's what I do. I work with them as a business coach and a strategist and even a public speaking and vocal health expert there. And I help you become the person you need to be in order to run the business that you're visioning out. So I'm a little bit motivational speaker. I'm also a little bit get your shit done. So today we're going to do a little bit more get your shit done stuff and then underpin that with some motivational speaking so that you have some tools around and some knowledge around decision fatigue and some practical ways to kind of view that and handle that. And then its connection to risk taking. We'll do that a little bit later in the live. So I got my notes here and I'm ready to go. If you can comment and let me know if I'm too loud because my microphone is kind of screaming at me over there. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm not on Facebook. I'm using Ecamm Live today. And so if you comment and you haven't registered with Ecamm or whatever, I don't know who you are. So tell me who you are. And then I'm going to see you over here in the comments and reactions. And hopefully I'll be able to engage with you there and figure that out. I'm on a new computer today and Ecamm is a little bit different. So I'm kind of finding my way in that muddy, muddy water. So I do see that Karen is here. Thank you, Karen. And Stephanie, perfect volume. Great. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to start with risk taking and decision fatigue. Excuse me. So what is decision fatigue? So it's kind of one of those things that it's one of those terms that's being used. Decision fatigue, right? It's getting thrown around a lot. And I want to talk to you about Roy F. Bausmeister and Jean Twenge. So these are the scientists that started to do the research on decision fatigue. And when it started out, it wasn't really about decision fatigue. It was more about deteriorating quality of decisions. And that's what Baumeister was really looking into. So he was kind of limiting it to what happens in our brains when we are making decisions. And is what chemicals are going on, what is glucose being used, and how does it go throughout the day. And what he discovered was that as the day progressed, our brains use glucose differently, and it uses glucose every decision that we make. So every little micro decision we make, every big decision we make, there is literally sugars that go into that decision making. And over the course of a day, after a full night's sleep, you will have a deteriorating quality of decisions because the glucose just gets lower. So a few years later, enter Jean Twenge, who is a research helper with Baumeister, and they start looking into how self-regulation is now connected to this deteriorating quality of decisions. So we have this literal neurological thing that happens throughout our day when our brains literally get fatigued physically and chemically and sugar level tired. We get physically tired and therefore cannot make decisions. So some examples of this, the cost of decision fatigue, if you would, is like you're reluctant to do trade-offs. So you make poor choices, right? Like you just don't want to deal with it is another thing. So you completely avoid a choice. So you put it off. Another thing that decision fatigue has been linked to is reduction of willpower. So have you noticed that if you've had a really hard day, let's say like let's say you have a plan to drink more water, or you have a plan to eat more vegetables, or, whatever your plan is. If you are new to that habit and new to that plan, and you are tired and you get to the end of the day and that cookie just looks so great, guess what? Glucose the brain needs, low willpower. You may not have enough willpower to hold on to things that you said that you wanted. This makes me think, I just thought of this right now. It's not even in my notes, but it made me think this is kind of like why resolutions don't stick, because you literally don't have a plan in place for it. You've spent a lot of brain power making the decision, but you haven't set yourself up to continually make the decision, right? We'll get to that in a few minutes. So decision avoidance, we kind of talked about that. I don't want to deal with it. Then we have reluctant to make trade-offs. So poor choices. Which thing do I do? We can't think through it. And so we tend to make a poor choice, the one that's easy. So Jessica says, no late night workouts. Right, exactly. So that tends to be a little bit funky. And then we have self-regulation issues. So I find this personally in how I interact with my kids. So if I have like a ton of decisions that I've had to make, I've done a lot of big think throughout the day, and then I was foolish enough to not set myself up for success in that big think day. So I also compiled it with little thinks. And then my kid at the end of the day is like, I don't know, just being a kid, and I get irritated with it. My self-regulation around my voice, I yell. I mean, I don't scream at my kids, but my voice gets raised easier. I get more agitated faster. It's because I literally don't have the glucose to deal with the decision around, can I watch TV? Can I read this book? Can I read that book? Do I have to eat this for dinner? Because those are also decisions that I now need to make and I'm too tired to do. So that's just an example of how that self-regulation can also leave us. So let's move on. How do we reduce decision fatigue then? If we know it's a thing, we believe it's a thing. I don't know about you, but when I first learned about it, I was like, well, that's all great, except for how do I fix it? This is where systems come in. This is where systems come in, systems come in, systems come in. And systems can be across your business and across your life. And if you get anxious when you hear the word systems, then I just want you to breathe with me. And I want you to remember that systems are really just a way for you to set yourself up for success so that you have more space to do greater things. Again, we're going to push that to the risk taking, but just keep that in mind as we're continuing to go in this journey together. So we've talked about what is decision fatigue. It's when our brains literally cannot do any more decision making. And now we're going into how to reduce decision fatigue. So here's some example of some systems in your business. Onboarding. When you have a client of any kind, pardon me, and you ask that person, you have a system that you use, the exact same thing for every single one, about how they go from, and this could be tied to your sales process. I choose to tie it to a sales process. How they go from first inquiry to signed contract in that first lesson, that needs to be the same for everybody. Yes. Of course, there might be times that you veer from that plan, but having the system in place, you don't have to make those decisions over and over and over again. You've already made the decisions. Policies, decisions that you have made ahead of time. Handling inquiries in and of themselves. So I get inquiries from all sorts of places, right? People will Facebook message me. They will text me because they got my number from a friend. They will email through my contact form. They will also email through like filling out an application. Maybe they'll DM me on Insta. Now I'm getting like Clubhouse kind of, getting connected that way. DM on Twitter. So it's all these different places things are coming. If I did not have one thing to tell all those people, great, awesome. Here's a link to book X. Let's talk about this more. This is how I can help you. Here's the link to book X. Then there would be no kind of central location that those were all in. And I would have to make decisions in every single one of those places about what to do next. But I can streamline where I'm going to talk to them, how we're going to talk to one another so that they have the best experience. So they're not suffering. My clients aren't suffering from my decision fatigue by doing this all over the place, deciding which thing I'm going to check and how I'm going to deal with that inquiry, which leads me to kind of scripts and templates. So here's another example of how to reduce decision fatigue. We all get the same kind of questions all the time. How much? How do I work with you? What are voice lessons like? What is the body work like? What's the process like, right? All of these decisions that all come to us all the time. So you've already pre-decided much of that. So now just put it into a sentence and maybe attach a link to it. If you're like me, you have a scheduler, you have a process. The point is that you are reserving, you're pre-deciding. That's what all of these are. They're pre-made decisions so that you can really give your best to the actually important conversation with the client rather than making a decision again about how you're going to talk or what. I mean, even deciding, having a scheduler is a great way to reduce decision fatigue because now you're not back and forth. Here it is. Make the decision. It's done, right? Now you can do this in life too. And if you are a person who is the chief domestic officer of your home, then I highly suggest that you do systems in your life as well. So what would be examples of that? Clothing. Give yourself a uniform. There are many, many, many very successful people who have done this, where they give themselves a uniform, right? And even if you don't have a uniform, you can do what I do. Like the 333 pods were really popular for a while, where you pick like 33 pieces of clothing and you just use those those pods for a quarter, then you switched out. You can do that. Or you can do what I do, and I just set up my outfits for the rest of the week. Every Sunday, I have this like little routine. I go into my closet and I'm like, okay, what am I going to wear this week? And then I rotate it. And if I get bored of something, I know I can just like switch in another outfit or something like that. But I make all those decisions on Sunday at a specific time so that I don't have to use that glucose when important decisions have to be made during my work week with my team and with my clients. So that's first thing. Second thing is routines. Get up at the same time, go to bed at the same time, eat at the same time if you can, right? Or at least have the routine where you know when you're going to do it different days. It might not be the exact same time every day, but maybe like, oh, on Mondays and Tuesdays I do this, on Wednesdays, Thursdays, right? Because especially, again, if you're the chief domestic officer of your home, you're probably, how do I put this? You're probably also managing not only the household, but kind of the kids and then the partner and their schedule as well. And sometimes that, especially with distance learning, I mean, let's get real. You need to be flexible. But if you have a plan, so maybe instead of a routine, you can be like, we have the same lunch every day. Everybody gets peanut butter and jelly sandwiches 5 days a week, right? That's what it is. Which leads me to dinner planning, menu. You don't have to have specific meals. Yes, Jessica's saying meals. Ugh. So let me encourage you in this. And again, we're gonna go here, so stick with me. You don't have to necessarily have the exact same meal every Monday, but you can do themes where every day kind of has a theme, and then your brain can do the work when it comes to the shopping, right? So, I mean, this is kind of the whole thing of like meatless Monday or da-da-da. I say get more specific, right? So maybe use different cultural cuisines so that you're limiting yourself to a few more choices there. Meatless Monday, that's like, well, you could still do a gazillion different things. You could have like pasta if you really wanted to do it, you could have like pasta every day. And then it should be like different types of carbohydrates every day. I mean, that'd be great, right? Try to figure out some sort of routine so that you always have something to fall back on and you're never asking what's for dinner, right? Shopping lists, grocery shopping lists are a great way to give yourself back some glucose. There is a reason why gum, candy, hand sanitizer, masks is all right there by the checkout stand. And it is because most people do not shop with a list. And so they're going through the store and they're having to make a ton of decisions about which brand they're going to buy, what size they're going to buy, what sugar content or fat content they're going to buy of maybe like a dairy product or a soda product or whatever. I don't know, whatever you buy. All of those micro decisions just steal. So by the time you get to the counter, you're like, oh, the gum looks good, right? Remember we went into trade-offs and poor decision making, right? Yeah. So Stephanie, I love what you're saying here is, oh, where'd you go? Something went away. Here it is. This is what, I love what Stephanie's saying. Online grocery shopping has saved me no more impulse buys. Yes, absolutely. I'm kind of loving it too. Although I will say that I will impulse buy things that I probably would not have put on my list, but it's definitely a better decision, right? So it is fun to go to Whole Foods without a list though. It's expensive to go to Whole Foods without a list, but it's fun. Excuse me. Okay. So then you're doing that, right? So we went over what is decision fatigue, then how to reduce it with systems. Then we're going to set up, this is the third thing we're going to talk about, is we're going to set a day to make systems and to schedule nothing else. So I want you to plan to plan. And this is a little counterintuitive, but this is one of the major things we were talking in Speakeasy about planning last month and in this month. This is why people fail at, one of the reasons why people can fail at planning. And it is because they don't plan to plan. I'm going to tell you right now, planning uses a huge amount of decisions, a huge amount of glucose. You cannot plan when you are tired. So you must plan to plan. One of the best things, again, my Sunday routine, right? My Sunday is dedicated to getting my act together for the rest of the week. Sometimes it goes real fast and that's great because I can just like get it over with and then have a day off kind of thing. But if you try to plan when you are already decision fatigued, that is when you get sad. It's when you get tired. It's when you leave out steps and then you get mad when you go try to execute. So plan to plan. And that is what's going to help you to reduce this decision fatigue. Now, why on God's green earth would we want to reduce decision fatigue? And I am going to bet that even talking about this is starting to bring up some, but I don't want to plan. But I'm not good at planning. But that just sounds so boring. Right? It sounds so boring. It sounds so icky. And we're going to address that. I want to address that right now. All right. Because here we go. I'm going to read this to you. When we are emotionally exhausted, we are risk averse. All of the 2020 decisions around the new things we had to do, the new ways we had to live, and the new choices we had to make around our health have reduced our capacity without us realizing it. Some people put allostatic load as that word. Some people just say reduced capacity. But let's just acknowledge right now, in 2020, you used all of your glucose deciding things that you never had to decide before. Is it safe to go to the grocery store? Should I wear a mask right now? Is it safe if I take my mask off when I'm 10 feet away from my good friend? I really need to travel. Is it the right thing to do? All of these decisions that never we asked in this way before, they literally stole away decisions. So now that we know that, now that we just talked about the decision fatigue, let's make some plans around how you're going to deal with COVID-19 in 2021 so that you can just make the decision, say, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing, and you can move forward. and use your decisions and your glucose for bigger, better things. What does this have to do with risk? This challenges the value that we find in spontaneity, planning, and reducing decision fatigue, challenges the value we find in creativity, and it challenges the value that we find in being fresh and new. As soon as we start building routines, building habits, building consistency in the creative mind, there is something that wants to resist that because it tells us that we are no longer those things if we put in routines. And I'm going to tell you that this is a lie from the pit of hell. The devil himself lied to you and told you that that's what this is. My challenge is, why use up all of that special, awesome, wonderful glucose? Why use up all of that creativity and freshness on inconsequential and low risk decisions? Why? Can we please use our glucose for like big important things instead of like what we're going to have for dinner every night? I mean, in the long run, what you wear every day is not that important. In the long run, what you eat every day, if you are choosing foods that nourish your body and give you emotional and physical strength, doesn't really matter. Your wine matters. Pick good wine. Take the time to pick good wine. But overall, let us take the risk of putting certain systems in our business in place, certain pre-made decisions in our life in place, so that when it becomes time to make an important choice, you have what you need to do it and get what you want in your life, right? So this isn't always easy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to save up for those high risk decisions. We're going to build some risk muscles. And we're going to take this journey that will take you to the next level of risk taking by looking at baby risks. And these are the baby risks, right? They go hand in hand. The things that reduce decision fatigue are the baby risks that you need to take and face in order to give yourself more capacity, more mental bandwidth for the big things. So let's practice risk taking with baby risks. What would be, y'all are here with me, pick good wine, and this is why I love y'all. Look what Karen said. Pick good wine, and this is why you're my biz coach. Yeah, only the best for you here at Faith Culture Kiss Studios and Speakeasy Cooperative. We know what we're doing here. Tell me in the comments right now, what is something that you can take a risk on, that you can pre-plan and make a pre-decided decision? Now, this is where we go. What does how you're wearing mean to you? What embarrasses you? What tiny little thing embarrasses you? And I'm going to tell you, if you pick a tiny little thing that might not embarrass anybody else, but you have made a big thing of it in your head, I want you to make a system and a plan around that. So let's say one of the things I had to deal with, I talked about it on the blog, is I had huge narratives around needing to cook my family an amazing special meal every single night. It had to be from the fruit of my labors. I had to make everything, the perfect ingredients. And the idea of putting a meal plan into place was like, oh, look at the story I'm telling myself now. I'm a bad mom. I'm a bad wife. I don't know how to cook. I don't care about my family, because if I cared about them, then this labor of love would happen every day. Now, friends, I love to cook, but having the same meal, like having to have a different meal every night that I created out of like my brain juice, meaning that I was a fantastic mom and a fantastic wife. That is a connection that did not need to be made. So I took the risk of making a meal plan. And fancy that. I'm a better mom and a better wife, spouse, because now I actually have time to talk to my mental energy to talk to my kids. That's my example. What would be your example? Is it in what you wear? Are you worried to show up in the same clothes every day? Wear the same clothes every day. Are you worried about what if you don't wear makeup? Don't wear makeup. Are you worried about, brush your teeth, do that. What are some little risks? I want you to put this in the comments. I want you to think about this. What are little risks? They often will come with embarrassments. So McKenna is saying, if I do my hair, I have to do my makeup and dress up. This embarrassed me. Okay, so what COVID hair? All right. So McKenna, what risk can you take? What risk can you take around that to show up differently? And Jessica is saying, okay, this is a good one. Jessica, I need to do the meal planning. I was just telling my husband that I hate deciding what is for dinner with a fiery passion. Yes, Jessica, I actually think in Speakeasy Cooperative, I actually think I put my meal plan in there one time. I can send it to you in the group. So yeah, okay, making your bed. So is like if you don't make your bed or you do make your bed, Jessica is saying, right? What one risk can you take? Here's Elizabeth saying, oh, this is great. Great idea here, Elizabeth. Having a capsule wardrobe has been a game changer. Yes, wear the same thing every day. Don't think about it anymore. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Jessica, I love this. Jessica is now saying headbands. And then Christine, plan my yoga. Love this. So Elizabeth, I have to do the meal plan though, because not knowing what's for, yes. So why would you? Why would you? Jessica's like, I don't make my bed. Do you have to? I mean, do you really have to make your bed? I read an article in Scientific American that said like there's bed bugs in your bed and it's actually better to not make your bed because then the sun and the light kill them. But when you make your bed, it like closes up the bed and makes the critters live longer. So you know what? Don't make your bed. Just don't make it. Headbands is for McKenna. Great. That's a great idea. Okay, McKenna. So maybe you got some headbands. Maybe you got some bun, right? Stephanie's saying, I can't bring myself to wear a hat indoors, but why not? Why not? Okay, so these are where you're going to start with your baby decisions, your baby risks. The other thing that baby risks do is they take the fear and the sting out of failure, because you will soon learn how just full of bullshit you were about your risk, right? So what will happen is, thank you, Shannon. Shannon also read that article about the bugs. So it wasn't just me. I didn't just make that up. Here's what I want for you in 2021. I want you to have risk muscles by 2022 that will put you in the perfect position to launch whatever new way of walking through the world is. Okay? We don't know what's going to happen this year when it comes to the vaccines. We don't know what's going to happen to travel. We don't know what is going to happen in the political scene. We do not know, right? But what we do know is that we get wrapped up in that and start trying to like reinvent the wheel every single time something crazy happens. Then we are stealing from ourselves our future success. So baby risks lead to the ability to take bigger risks, because when you take the baby risk and then there's no consequence, it kind of like isn't as bad as you thought it was going to be, or it actually kind of works out. Then you trust yourself. And ultimately, isn't that the journey that we're all on when we're business owners, is learning how to trust ourselves more, with the input and advice from people who have been there before us, from people that we trust because we know they have put into place things. They're just on the same mountain we are. They just happen to be several steps above us. And we can pass on that knowledge to those on the mountain that are steps below us. Right? Okay, friends, I think, I should do a recap. So the recap is we talked about what is decision fatigue. It's basically when your brain is literally physically tired because it's used all the glucose. It happens over your day. It happens in every decision you make, from what mug you're going to use to drink your coffee in to what new sales web platform you're going to use to redesign your entire business. Every single decision you make takes up some glucose. That's the fatigue that you get at the end of the day, and it reduces your ability to be amazing. Then we talked about, great, how do we reduce it? Systems, pre-made decisions. And then we listed several ways and several systems you can have. We talked about business systems like onboarding, client inquiry. Some people call it customer journey, deciding that up front. When you're going to create content, when you're not, scripts and templates. And then we talked about personal systems and plans, like your clothing, what you're going to eat, any decision you make every day, what coffee mug you're going to drink out of, right? What glass you're going to use, whatever. And then we moved that into planning to plan, making sure that you actually have time to plan that out, right? Don't try to plan when you're tired. Set aside a dedicated time to do it. Then we lastly moved on to the risk taking and how all those little baby decisions that we're going to make are going to bring up some stuff about risk in us. We want to take advantage of that. We want to take advantage of all those little stories we tell ourselves around the plans that we're making to take risks so that we can build risk building muscles for really consequential decisions and not waste our time with waste our brain space with inconsequential decisions that will set us up for success. Okay. All right, everyone. We got a little talk about meal subscriptions. They do come with detailed directions. Yep. Don't have to decide what to make for dinner. It doesn't have to be dinner, friends, right? You can start out same thing for breakfast every day. Or rotate it, right? Maybe you have 3 breakfasts because you just can't bear the idea of doing the same thing every day. Maybe you can do it, I don't know. Every 3rd day I have yogurt and granola. Sounds good to me. That sounds delicious, actually. What else am I supposed to say? Oh, if you know someone that this would be helpful for, please share. Please invite them to like this page. We're going to be doing this more often because this is one of the decision fatigue things I'm doing differently in 2021 is I'm like, hey, planning my content and planning out when I'm going to do the content so I don't have to decide when I'm going to do the content. So Sarah, hey, Sarah. Yeah. Oh, this is my favorite thing that Sarah said today. No more deciding. Right. Save it up. My name is Michelle Marquardt DeVoe. I help people become the people they need to be in order to run the businesses they want to run by giving them practical and tangible advice like hopefully today was, while also a little bit of motivational speech to get you in gear. Yeah, do your stuff. And I want you to join me here next Monday. I'm coming back and we're doing a little precursor on how to make big decisions. So in Speakeasy Cooperative last month, our focus was on, it's not the planning, it's the implementation. And we talked about planning and then how to kind of avoid some of the implementation pitfalls. Hey, today was one of those things. This is kind of a follow-up. Next Tuesday, inside Speakeasy Cooperative, we are talking about kind of how to make your top level goals, how to look at big goals, because we had a discovery in our group that many people were kind of really good at the task list, like really good at the micro goals, the micro decisions, but it was hard to get out of that and be like, well, how do I vision? Like, what does that even mean? I've never been able to do that before. So we're going to start exploring that in our Tuesday training, which is one of the things we do in Secco, but I'm going to give everybody a preview to that on Monday. Same bat time, same bat station. If you get that reference, then we can be friends. Okie dokie, artichokes. Again, have a fantastic rest of your week. happy new year. And drop me some just drop me a line if you need anything, and I'll put you into the decision that I made about how to talk to you later, right? Okay. Everyone, you're amazing. Talk to you later. Bye.